Hi everyone, so Robin here, and 2023 has come to its end. I really wanted to thank all of my subscribers because you have helped my channel grow so much throughout the year, and I'm just really happy to be able to share my hobby and love for Pokemon with all of you guys. 2023 was the year when I actually made some of my very first Pokemon playthrough challenges, and I wanted to talk about it during this video. I will be rating every single Pokemon playthrough I did during 2023, and I will be rating the teams based on how much I got attached to the team itself and my thoughts on the playthrough. I will be rating the teams from 1 to 10, 1 being that it was the worst thing I ever done and I don't know why I ever did it, and 10 being it was the best and I will always treasure it close to my heart. I will be going in the order when the first video of that playthrough released, because some playthrough challenge was condensed to multiple videos. And in the end, I will be going over every team I used throughout 2023, then I will be listing all the teams from my least favorite to my absolute favorite. But before we dive into the video, hit the like and subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you do not miss any of my future videos. And without further ado, let's start with a video that was actually not posted in 2023. This was a video I posted in the late of 2022, however, considering it was the very first playthrough challenge I ever posted, I had the feeling I just need to mention it because it's just too close to my heart and I just can't say no. And it's 2023 and more. And this is a video that is a bit more. And if you still think it doesn't make sense, then leave me alone. This is my channel and I do what I want. So, the first team I'm gonna discuss in this video and the first playthrough challenge I ever posted was Can I Beat Pokemon Fire Red but on Pokemon Talk. For those who don't know, Pokemon Talk is a show on YouTube with a plushie Bulbasaur and a plushie Squirtle as talk show hosts. It was made by M&J TV, which is one of my favorite YouTubers, and since I like it so much, I decided to try to beat a Pokemon game only using Pokemon Talk Pokemon. The team I used to beat the league with was Tsunami the Blastoise, Nemesis the Raichu, Kangor the Nidoking, Audition the Alakazam, Eevee the Flareon, and Hot Dragon the Dragonite. Plus, Burgess the Pidgeot was a core member for a while before eventually being replaced by Dragonite. This playthrough was actually really fun, getting to use Pokemon from one of my favorite YouTube series, and I got to use several really useful Pokemon. Some of them which I've already used before, and some that I haven't used before, but proved to be very useful. The Pokemon I got the most attached to was probably Tsunami and Eevee. Tsunami was just my amazing starter, and it was really helpful for a lot of the playthrough, and Eevee was actually a little bit more of a surprise. One of my goals during that video was that I needed to capture every Pokemon Talk Pokemon that was obtainable in Pokemon Fire Red. However, since I could only obtain one Eevee prior to beating the league, I decided the dex entry was only for one evolution, and Flareon became the evolution I chose because the other options were either not obtainable before the league, is not obtainable in Fire Red at all, have their typing always covered by other members of the team, and was just never on Pokemon Talk. So Flareon was the best option, and it was a pleasant surprise. While it took a long time to get a free Flamethrower team because I had to spend so much money on the game corner, Eevee became a really useful member. Managed to take out Erica and Sabrina on his own. Overall, I'm gonna give this team a 10 out of 10. With the combination of using a team of all very useful and really great Pokemon, along with the nostalgia value being the first ever playthrough challenge I ever posted on YouTube, I'm always gonna have a soft spot for this team, and I just could not go without it. Now we actually move over to the playthrough challenge that I did during 2023, and the first one being how many times must Catform faint before I win Ultra Moon? Which I am pretty sure you can understand what it was about. This was my very first solo Pokemon playthrough, with me only using a single Catform in order to beat Pokemon Ultra Moon. Catform is quite the underrated Pokemon, with not having much stats, but an interesting gimmick of changing depending on the weather. So I decided to try to beat the Pokemon game only using a Catform. I thought doing this in one of the hardest Pokemon games with access to unbreakable TMs and all different other resources that it would be an interesting challenge. Since it was a one Pokemon playthrough, the only Pokemon I used was a Catform I named Atomo, which I named it because Catform is partially inspired by a molecule. And I know what some people are saying about the design, And to repeat the word of the mighty MJ TV, learn science, people! Well, but it wasn't really a mono-type challenge. Throughout the playthrough, whenever I encountered a double battle situation, I was able to avoid it because it was designed so once I enter this area, it will only encounter a battle if I have two Pokemon on the party. But since I only had Cat form, it was never really required. But it was one battle that I just couldn't get past, and that was the battle in front of Potown. Potown is the name of the city that Team Skull is inhabiting, and before you can enter it, you need to take part in a mandatory double battle. This was the only double battle during the game, so I had required another Pokemon in my party. I decided that the most fitting way to do it was to get myself another Castform. This one I just simply named Castform 2, and it immediately fainted in that one battle. This playthrough I'm only going to give a score of 3 out of 10. It was an interesting playthrough, but it was also very annoying and hard. With Castform's low base stat total and unfortunate multiple losses, I seriously got in trouble during multiple. I had to redo multiple of the trials because it was just so hard to get my Castform to do what I wanted it to. And during the later part, I had a pretty big problem with money. I was required to buy pretty heavy amount of healing items and X items to complete multiple of the challenges. However, whenever I lost, I also lost money, and that means I either had to go back and battle units I haven't battled before using the amulet coin to get more money out of them, or just find a bunch of items I could sell for a good price. I had to do that a couple of times because I wasn't really into restarting and just go for it again. At the time, I didn't think it would be honorable to restart whenever I lost a battle, but it probably would have been a bit better for my sanity. The later part of the playthrough pretty much only had me using a bunch of X items to buff my Castform up as high as it can, and then hopefully sweep any possible trainers and using a bunch of healing items. There were a few good moments. In the end, my Castform fainted a total of 66 times, 67 if you count that one time Castform 2 fainted. So now I finally have the number. I'm sure you can limit it down a lot if you grind up more and using better strategies than me. This was an interesting playthrough, but I'm probably gonna have to wait for a while until I try to attempt another one Pokemon playthrough. And if I do, I'm probably gonna choose a Pokemon that has a bit more base stat to it. I'm sorry Castform, you're an okay Pokemon in design, but not the best in battle. The next playthrough I did is a pretty long-term series, that being my first ever playthrough for Pokemon Infinite Fusion. For those who don't know, Pokemon Infinite Fusion is a ROM hack which allows you to create your very own Pokemon Fusion. So I decided to give that playthrough a shot because I just really liked it. My team changed a lot during this playthrough because I often changed up the fusion that I used, so there were plenty of different fusions that came in and came out of the team. The final team I used to defeat the league with was Glacear, my Gliscor Charizard fusion, AG1, my Aegislash and Gardevoir fusion, Hitmonvire, my Hitmonchan and Electrowire fusion, Gyarados, my Gyarados Kingdra fusion, Umbreon, my Umbreon Metagross fusion, and Vulgarkit, my Volcarona Togekiss fusion. There were a few fusions that happened during the playthrough that I also want to mention, but the only one that I think is worth mentioning was Spearow, my Primeape and Fearow fusion. There were other fusions that I eventually bought, but Spearow was definitely one of the best ones I used because it was really helpful during multiple occasions. For this one, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This playthrough was really enjoyable, and getting to try a pretty good game as a result was really nice. Pokemon Infinite Fusion is a very interesting game with a lot of different cool mechanics, and I highly recommend it for anyone that would like to try it out. But sometimes the fusion mechanic can be a bit confusing at times, so it could become a bit difficult, but I still highly recommend it because it's definitely worth it. If you want to watch it, I have multiple different episodes about it. Some of them are cut down, while other is more spread out without pauses. However, if you want the easiest version to understand it, I made a completed video about this, so if you want to watch that one, then you can get pretty much all the major things that happen during the story in pretty much only 30 minutes, which I'm pretty sure will be the better for you all. The next playthrough I did was Pokemon X with the hardest, pun intended, type of all. This was pretty much me playing for Pokemon X, only using Fire type all the way through. Fire is my favorite of the Pokemon types, and I really enjoy using it in a playthrough. The final team I ended up using was Flame Wizard the Delphox, Kai the Charizard, Blazing Mane the Pyroar, Phoenix the Talonflame, Lamp the Chandelure, and Stove the Heat Form Rotom. Plus Fluffer the Flareon and Reina the Houndoom was all a member for a while until I eventually replaced them with Lamp and Stove simply because they was a little bit stronger. For this one, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Overall, I love the team that I used. Getting to use Pokemon like Charizard and Talonflame, two fire types that I really like and have enjoyed using before, and then using a bunch of other fire type Pokemon I haven't used but was still really great. The first Lysander battle was where I most screwed up. If I hadn't screwed that one up, I'm pretty sure I would have gotten more attached to the playthrough, but I still enjoyed it. And having the final showdown in the league between my Mega Charizard and his Mega God was really awesome, and I just liked to visualize it. So while it was not the best, it was still enjoyable, and I really liked it. The next one is probably one of the favorite ones I committed, mainly because it is a challenge that most Pokemon YouTubers sometimes do. That was my first successful attempt at a Pokemon Fire Red Nuzlocke. For those who don't know what a Nuzlocke is, let me explain. A Nuzlocke is a group of self-imposed rules that you usually add to Pokemon games to make them more challenging, and since I'm a Pokemon YouTuber and I like playing Pokemon games, it makes sense for me to try one. I did an attempt at one a little earlier this year in Pokemon X. However, I unfortunately didn't complete it because at the time I unfortunately boxed the Pokemon that had reached level cap so I wouldn't risk over leveling them. And as a result, of just losing one Pokemon that I had in my team at the time, I lost the entire thing, which wasn't really the smartest move. At the time, I decided to take a break from a Nuzlocke like that simply because I just felt like I needed a break. So I posted one around but I was able to post this one a couple of months later with my Nuzlocke completely completed. The league I used in the final battle was Referno the Charizard, Geo the Golem, Dream the Alakazam, Subscribe the Tentacle, Sharp the Machamp, and Scooby-Doo the Jolteon. I also would like to mention Break It to Snorlax and Awful the White Plume that was members of my team for a long time, but I decided not to use them on my final team because Sharp and Scooby-Doo was proven to be more necessary for the final battles. And I would also like to honor Pickling the Primate, Butter the Butterfree, and Ruggiero the Gyarados, which was unfortunately the deaths that occurred during this Nuzlocke. For this playthrough, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I just love this as a playthrough because I finally completed a Pokemon Nuzlocke, which was a challenge I set on doing for a while, but I never completed until now. And once I did that, I just felt so happy with myself, and the thrill of completing your first Nuzlocke is actually a feeling I really enjoyed. This playthrough was cropped up with a lot of different surprises. For example, actually being able to capture myself an Abra and using it to an eventual Alakazam was pretty good, because as you might know, Abras like to flee. But luckily, thanks to Butter, I was able to capture most early in all Pokemon until his unfortunate death. Subscribe became my eventual replacement for Jera because I was right out of water type to progress and it was good to have the type coverage, and it was really helpful in many battles. Being able to take down both Blaine and Giovanni in the gym battle pretty much on his own, it was really useful. Plus, with great special attack against the speed, it was able to deliver a ton of damage to some really heavy hitters in the league. But one thing that I did not forget was that I intentionally named Charizard Referno to reference the Charmander I used in my Pokemon X Nuzlocke, thinking it will be coming back with a vengeance. I really think that my first completed Pokemon Nuzlocke in Pokemon Fire Red was a pretty huge success. Of course, that is just my personal opinion, but if you want to know everything I did during that playthrough, you can just watch it. And the final playthrough I did of 2023 was my ever first playthrough for the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC, the Indigo Disc. I did technically do Tail Mask before. However, the difference between those two, Tail Mask, I did not use a completely new team. I used a few new Pokemon, but never something new and interesting. However, in this one, I decided I wanted to try to use a completely new and original theme for this new DLC. It was composed with a bunch of Pokemon I haven't ever used before, and I thought it would be interesting. The theme I ended up with was Ken the Archaladon, Nightwing the Chestnut, Vibrano the Flygon, Snowbjay the Alolan Ninetales, Sir Jolt the Galvangela, and Soul the Reuniclus. The playthrough itself was kind of interesting. I never used to do double barreling. They're gonna come up with a lot of different strategies. The strategies I used never really was any no double barrel strategies, like the light screen, intimidating, or stuff like that. So if you were watching, so I'm pretty sure those strategies would never do well in competitive battling, but I don't do competitive battling, so it didn't really matter. So for me, it was just a chill playthrough with just the difficulty step up a bit. For this one, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Overall, I loved it. The DLC was interesting, and getting to catching a bunch of new Pokemon in the different biomes was very interesting. I also really loved the team that I used. I had definitely started on using it on Sharadon before the DLC came out, and I really loved it because it was just such a cool Pokemon. Then I also got to use some Unova Pokemon like Galvandula and Reuniclus, which I have never used before. But I was really interested about that, but I really want to try it, and they were really useful. Snow was also great because I never used an Alolan Ninetale before, and it was a good way to do it. Flygon was a Pokemon I have used before, however, it's just such a classic Pokemon, and I just loved it. Finally, Chestnut was here because I really want to use a starter. I find that would be useful, however, they won't, and I want to use Chestnut because I never used one before, and I thought it would be nice. I unfortunately didn't know you need to use EVA point to buy the starters in each biome, so I didn't do that on the first time. Instead, I have to go through a bronze process by training with someone that had one, but that one was a Pokemon Go itself. So it was a lot of different steps to get myself to use one, but it was still useful and I really loved it. The only thing that is holding this one back is that I have to re-challenge some of these battles quite a lot. Like I said, I'm not used to double battling, so it was required me to do some retake, but it was still very enjoyable, and I was happy with the result. Before we talk in the rankings, I would like to talk about the Pokemon that have either been on the final team during multiple videos, or have been considered a large playing member. Those Pokemon is Charizard, Alakazam, Flareon, Gyarados, and Primeape. Gyarados and Primeape is kinda confusing to mention because I used both of them during my Nuzlocke, and they were both used in different Pokemon fusions, but the fusion one is kinda hard. Anyways, Charizard would actually use the most because I used it both in my only fire type playthrough, in my Pokemon Nuzlocke, and also in my Pokemon Fusion video, so Charizard have been around the most, which shouldn't be that surprising. My channel name is Robin. If I get this option of Charizard, I'm most likely gonna pick it. The one Pokemon here that surprised me the most is probably Flareon. I haven't used a Flareon until my Pokemon Talk video. I actually showed up more than once, which actually is surprising me a bit. But anyways, now when we have done that, it's time to talking about the ratings. Lowest on the list is Ultramoon with only Castform with a 3 out of 10. I'm sorry, but Castform was just not that good at all. Then we have a tie between Pokemon Fusion and Pokemon Only Fire type with 8 out of 10, and I'm gonna give Pokemon Fusion the edge just because I just like the idea of Fusion Pokemon. Next is Pokemon Indigo Disc with 9 out of 10. Then finally the 10 out of 10 was Pokemon Fire Red Only Pokemon Talk and Pokemon Fire Red Nuzlocke. It's a close call, however, I'm going to give the edge to Pokemon Talk because I just love the idea and it was my favorite video, so you just have to be on it. Anyway, that was all the teams I used in 2023 and in the late 2022. I really appreciate you all for watching, and I really hope I can continue giving you more enjoyable videos in 2024. You have been an amazing audience for this entire year, and for that, I thank you deeply. But that will be all for now. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a happy 2023. Bye!